Welcome to Unlearn, where we talk to industry leaders about unlearning how we go to market.
I'm Kelly Sarabyn, and I run tech partner enablement and advocacy at HubSpot.
And I'm Mathew, co-founder of Partnership Leaders.
The old ways of going to market are getting more expensive and less effective.
To thrive in an era of digital transformation, you have to go to market differently. Let's find out how. And we're back for another episode of the Unlearn podcast. I'm your great host, Asher, and I have a co-host who you may all know, but
who is also great.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Kelly, congratulations on your promo.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us about what's changed in your world.
Oh, well, with my promotion, I was at HubSpot kind of already doing a lot of the two-partner advocacy ecosystem work and a lot of our go-to-market programs, and now just expanding over the program itself. So kind of when you go into the app partner program design, all of our operations. So exciting stuff. As you know, Asher, I'm very passionate about partner operations. So this enables me to just dig in deeper.
Taking over the world, one app partner at a time. Kelly Sarabyn. All right, let me set the stage for this podcast. So, a couple of months ago, I think, is when I went to the developer day at that Canva hosted, and I've been a big fan of Canva because when we took PL to Sydney, we actually were at their offices, and then I came back. And over the last few months, I've been thinking about developer programs and how they intersect into the world that partnerships people do. And then I was sitting in the audience, and then Anwar got on stage, and his CPO got on stage, and like basically gives amazing prezo. And then I was just sitting on their stage in the audience thinking, why aren't more people talking about the work that these people are doing, and how do we change that, right? So then I called them up and said, hey, we totally need to bring you on to the podcast and talk a little bit about it, because our podcast is focused on senior leaders learning about partnerships and ecosystems, and the work that Anwar and his team are doing is fantastic. So Anwar, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your background and tell us a little bit about the role that your team is playing at Canva, and then we have a number of questions for you that we can kick the conversation off with.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for inviting me. This is amazing. And Asher, obviously, thank you for joining Canva Extend back in September. Just to give a quick introduction, my name is Anwar Haneef. I lead the ecosystem product area within Canva. And what that means is my team focuses on building the APIs, the SDKs, the platform for our partners to create new experiences within Canva, as well as integrate Canva into other products and systems. Part of that also includes partnerships and developer relations advocacy and developer success. So good thing is, it's an all-encompassing team that's all about making sure that our partners and our developers are successful in creating a great experience for our users.
Super. Okay, I did some numbers, right? And so what I was able to find out that Canva today has, and you can correct me, right? This could be like one of those fact-checking things, that you have 200 million global users, 95% of the Fortune 500 use you all, and your primary go-to-markets are businesses, educators, content creators, and non-profits. Would that be correct?
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
All right, Kelly, that's my win for the day.
Chat GPT helped you out there.
Exactly.
Nice. Write me an outline for an amazing conversation. So, Anwar, tell us a little bit about. Obviously, we saw a lot at the Canva Extend Day. The thing that caught my eye was that you guys have created this amazing infrastructure for your developers to monetize their services and build apps. And I just thought that whole setup was great. But maybe you want to give us a little bit of context of how you got to Canva, and then how you were building this next generation platform experience.
So you say how we got to Canva and how the developer ecosystem got into Canva?
How you got to Canva. That would be more. Yeah, we can totally come to that too. But just how you got to Canva would be an interesting story too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent, I've have a background in engineering and developing products. Most recently, before Canva, I was at Google for the 6 years prior to Canva, working on a variety of different ecosystems within Google itself. As part of Google Play, Android, and Google TV built a product that launched a couple of years ago. And then most recently, I was at Firebase. In a lot of these spaces, a lot of my focus was on building ecosystems, building products and platforms that enabled ecosystems to flourish around these products that we created at Google. So back in 2021, when Canva was trying to reinvent its ecosystem, they reached out. We had a good conversation, and this was kind of an opportunity which is really difficult to pass up, because Canva is still fairly, compared to the 200 million we have today, was much smaller back then, and way less than maybe around 50, 70 million monthly active users at the time. And what I could see was this incredible opportunity to enable a partner ecosystem to flourish around Canva, because Canva was this amazing product that was really loved by our users. It was growing really fast. And there was this incredible opportunity to create new services for those users, those creators that are creating in Canva itself. So building an ecosystem around that was just kind of an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So jumped on board. Been here a little over 2.5 years, and we've last year we launched the Apps SDK, which is effectively a platform on which developers outside of Canva can create experiences within Canva itself. So one of the superpowers that Canva has, it has this amazing, easy to use editing experience where anyone can create any design. You can create a presentation, you can convert that presentation into a doc, you can convert it back into a poster, and then you can turn it into a t-shirt and print that. All that is pretty seamless in Canva. So we make it really easy for people to create designs on the platform. And what we've done with the Apps SDK is we've allowed the developers to create experiences within Canva itself, so that they can bring their experience onto Canva as people are creating designs. A good example of this is how Meta has created a design check app within Canva, where when you're creating an Instagram post, for example, Meta will give you suggestions and recommendations and best practices based on how you're creating the design, sort of acting as a advisor to you while you're creating designs and before it's being published. Um, so we launched Apps SDK last year, and earlier this year we launched our first REST APIs, which is our Connect API, and that allows Canva design workflows to be plugged into workflows outside of Canva, where people are working on tasks. For example, you're in Salesforce, you're trying to create a sales pitch deck for your client or your prospect. You can, with this, there's a Canva integration with Salesforce, powered by the Connect API, that allows you to create a full complete pitch deck that's on brand for your brand with a single click automatically in Canva. It'll generate that, create the deck, give you the link in Salesforce so you can click through it and add your tweaks in. It'll take care of everything from putting your image into the deck to bringing all the latest stats onto the deck and making it brand compliant. You can click send, and next thing you know, it's already at your client.
Yeah.
These are all these types of ways in which we're bringing Canva into other workflows, as well as enabling our developer partners to create great experiences in Canva.
Yeah, you guys actually demoed that over at Extend. That's actually the thing that really caught me. I'm like, okay, great. Salespeople will have an easier time to just get their decks created. That's a real, absolute real use case.
I want to call out too is Canva has just done a remarkable job of having a diversity of extensibility and partner types in their product. The fact that you see a lot of platforms, right? They're like, we've made ourselves extensible. Now come build on us. And that's the play, right? But Canva's done that, but you've made it very easy to be embedded in other people's products. So other people can use Canva within those products and then have it be seamless experience that way. I know as a user of Canva, which just want to shout out, I used at my early stage startup. I use now at HubSpot. I've used in my personal hobby. So the versatility of the product, but you can click and on demand get postcards, right? At FedEx or whatever those partners are that have partnered with Canva to make it so the user can just do their design, put it on a t-shirt, order the t-shirt. They don't have to go to a separate vendor. I don't have to export that design, go upload it somewhere else, right? As a user, that's inconvenient. So I would love to hear your perspective on having all these different partner types and how you kind of build an ecosystem where you do have a lot of personas who might be approaching it, they might all be builders at heart or have like an interest in partnering with you, but they are coming from a different angle. Like, how do you guys think about that ecosystem and like the different players within it?
No, it's a great question. The way we think about it is we want Canva to be anywhere where there's an intention for design. So anytime, any place, any user has intent for design, whether it's designing a QBR or designing a T-shirt or designing the next swag for their team, we want to be available for our users. And what that means is it comes with the responsibility that to be available for our users, we need to be in the places where our users are. So when we think about our platform, our developer platform, and how we look at how we design it so that we can plug ourselves into all these different platforms. So we've, like I mentioned, the Salesforce example, we're also plugged into HubSpot. Kelly is familiar with that. Even in HubSpot, as you're creating content, there's a design with Canva option where you can, Canva will pop up and help you modify the designs that you have before it's published out via your CMS. So the way we've designed our platform is so that we can be pluggable, which is also why you have different modalities in which you can interact with Canva in these different platforms. You can go to ChatGPT, for instance, and there's a Canva GPT that is a whole different experience where you're having a conversation with Canva GPT, and Canva GPT will take your input and talk to Canva behind the scenes, and then Canva will come back with designs that are created based on your conversation. You can click through and edit it in Canva. We have a similar kind of a experience in Slack, for example. If you have the Slack app installed in Canva, and as part of your conversation somebody says, hey, can I get a presentation on this, or can I get a slide or image illustration to illustrate our conversation, you can do a slash Canva, ask Canva to create a design right from Slack itself. So our intention is to make sure that we have all these different ways in which you can interact. In some cases, Canva is sort of brought in as an experience within your web the app itself, and we have ways in which you can click click the design in Canva, and we have an API to enable that. We also have ways in which you can programmatically invoke Canva behind the scenes, which is the Connect API that I mentioned earlier. And we have also designed Canva so that you can bring parts of your experience, you can bring your users, have them signed in, and bring that signed in experience within Canva, which is how we've created the Apps SDK. So what we're doing is we're intentionally creating these platform experiences and these toolkits for our partners so that they can figure out ways in which Canva can fulfill these design intentions that they have in their platform, and work with us and use the different variety of ways in which we expose Canva functionality to our partners to incorporate. And this is something that we're constantly continuing to work on. We'll be continuing to add more functionality by which we make it easier for you as a company that's creating some amazing experience to bring in Canva into your design workflows.
Super. And how do you, so for somebody that doesn't know your ecosystem well, right? Like who are I guess maybe if I ask the questions in the form of what are the components of your ecosystem, or what are the players in your ecosystem, would the answer be the same? I'd just be curious to actually get answers to both questions.
Who so the interesting thing is, and this is this Kelly hit the nail on the head when she talked about how she uses Canva at work, and as part of her job, and then as part of her like creative process, in the evening, for her own personal life. That's also a reflection of how our ecosystem of use, or our community of users look like, right? We have, I've got my my 13-year-old creating images in designs in Canva, to students and high schoolers, college students, through small businesses, through to large enterprises using Canva. So we have a pretty wide spectrum of users in our user community. Our developer community is also somewhat reflective of that. We've got students that are developing, college students that are creating some really interesting apps that are kind of closing, fulfilling needs that our users have that we haven't built into the product. So some of our most popular apps are actually created by a few users in different markets. We've got indie developers that are kind of doing it as a hobby. We have agencies that are doing it as a way to showcase the quality of their work. We've got small startups that are incorporating, for example, DID is a small startup that's been an early developer on our platform that creates digital virtual avatars. we've got the Mailchimps and Salesforce and HubSpots. We've got the Meta, the Google and Amazon building on our platform. So our ecosystem is actually quite diverse in that sense, and it is also reflective of the diversity of our user community, because these different partners and developers are also building their experiences for different parts of our community. So it's hard to nail down who
Yeah,
is
totally. I
the
mean, that's what
admin.
I try to solve that. I try to answer your question for you in my mind before as prep for this call, and I was just like, how would I set this thing up, right? Because like normally you would go to a partner ecosystem for an ISV, and they're like, we have these app partners, we have these services partners, we've got this, we've got a marketplace, and there's like 4 or 5 different types, right? But over the 200 million users that you have, they all could actually develop.
And Canva's done a great job, but I would still want to hear more. Like, how do you create a great partner experience for all those different personas, right? Because it is a challenge. It's the same thing when you're selling, which you guys are also doing, to your point, to different personas. It's like really have to be strategic about how you're expending your resources and your supports to have all those different personas walk away feeling like that was a good experience. I want to continue to invest in the ecosystem. So like, how do you think about serving those different personas at once and like creating a community when you have those diverse players?
One of the interesting things about Canva is we really believe in our values. So we've got values like be a good human and things like that that really are kind of embedded into how we do business, and this includes everything from how we work with each other within the company, as well as how we work with our partners. So we are very conscious about how we make sure that everything we do for everything that we make available for our partners is built in a way where there's a win-win-win, where something we're building things where we even for our core product, as we build a core product for our users, we try to give away as much as possible. And then obviously when for business users, we have our own different plans, for instance. So even when we interact with our partners, we have that same ethos. We want to make sure that our partners are successful, our developers are successful, and we create an experience where our developers feel like they're part of our community, and they feel like we are invested in their success. So that's something that's always kind of in the back of our minds as we interact with our partners. um, One of the things that we've done is we have a really high quality bar in terms of what is an experience that we want to make available through our platform. So and this is something that we've always thought about from day one. So for example, we've created guidelines, templates, tools, so that whether you're a small indie developer building on our platform, or whether you're a large company, we can guide our partners into ensuring that whatever they build is of high quality and feels native and seamless for our users, where they can use it, where our users can use their products without too much of a learning curve, so that it feels more natural and people can adopt it more. So we've built these processes and tools so that anytime a partner works with us, we make it easy for them to create high quality integrations onto our platform. And we also make sure that, as part of our commitment to make our developer partner successful, we also have an app review process, for example, where we actually have designers that look through the designs that our partners have built, and help them make sure that the experiences that they're creating on our platform are successful and designed in a way that will drive adoption with our users. And this is especially valuable for smaller developers, because a lot of developers have told us that the feedback that our designers have given them have really helped them improve the way they think about their own product design process, and help them create a much better products on Canva. So so one part of it is making sure that we give our partners the right tools,
Yeah.
experience, and support to make sure that they're creating high quality things. And the next is, once they created something that's high quality, we make sure that we create ways in which our users get access to the most high quality and useful apps at the right time. So we've got discovery mechanisms built into the product to kind of connect the users with the products and services that our community has created, or our developer community has created for our users. Um, the other thing is, from a commercial interaction standpoint, we've tried to shy away from becoming a middle person in like, taking transactions and taking payments, and we really encourage our ecosystem to monetize their apps in their own way so that they can be successful on our platform. And we're not trying to kind of you know be seen as one of the other large platforms out there, which have some negative connotations today. But we've really focused on making sure that our users find the most value, and our developers are able to create the best, most interesting things of value for our users. Um, Now, Asher mentioned this program called the Premium App Program, wherein we are bundling a certain high quality apps along with our pro subscriptions. The reason we're doing that is because we've started to getting some feedback from a community that they really want to focus on certain segments of our target population and a user population, and they want to figure out ways in which they can commercialize some of the products that they've built for our community. And we've heard the same thing from our community where they said, hey, I wish these things were part of the Canva subscription. And because of that, we've tried to connect the two and created this premium app program where we curate really some of the best apps and services on our ecosystem and make that part of the Canva bundle so that our users get even more value. So, so as you can kind of hopefully infer from what I've been saying, what I've been just mentioning, we've really been conscious about how do we make sure that our users are really happy, our developers are set up for success, and they're going to find success, and we're helping facilitate the sort of this perfect triangle of everyone winning and being happy at the same time without trying to be kind of sort of an extractive type platform.
Man, that was such a cool answer. You went from like company values all the way through strategy, all the way to like building, design, build, and monetization. Uh, you're definitely a pro, Hunter. That's great. So can we double click a little bit just on the monetization piece? Because I do believe that a lot of like product partnerships teams that are at a number of ISVs are struggling with just the monetization piece. We kind of have to like just kind of go through the process of like how did you guys build this monetization platform, and then how do the developers plug into it?
So the monetization platform, the fortunate thing for us is that Canva, several years ago, we introduced this program where content from a lot of different content sources were made available to our users as part of the Canva premium programs. I mean, we have a lot of free content for our users, and then there's a set of content that's for premium users that are part of paid plans. So that's been a product, and we've kind of figured out that mechanic for many years now. So we had the advantage of building on that experience, and our users have also gotten accustomed to this model where they're paying Canva for a particular for a plan, and they get access to a set of things that are native in the product as well as sourced from a variety of different best different sources out there. For example, today we've got content from like large companies. We've just recently spoke about content from POC Stock, which gives you content from diverse types of individuals. We've got content from large providers like Disney, for example, which is very unique. So we've kind of created this marketplace of content within Canva itself, where different types of content, these photos, images, graphics, illustrations, all these types of content are available to our users. So when we looked at our app ecosystem, we wanted to do something similar in the sense that we wanted to make sure that we give access to a large set of free content, free apps, and free experiences for our users. And then we also encouraged other developers to bring in their own experiences and bring in their own subscriptions, where some services, like for example some really high-end Gen AI capabilities like voiceovers and avatars and video processing, we encouraged developers to kind of enable users to bring in their own subscription. So they may have a subscription, they bring that over into Canva and they can use it within Canva. And
So
then
just to stop on that bucket, so in that case, would a user be able to discover the app potentially in Canva, and then they would just go buy it directly from the partner and then come back and use it within Canva?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
one of the things that we've, as part of our program to make sure that our developers are successful, one of the things we actively encourage our developers to do is employ the same mechanics that Canva does, which is give away some for free as much as you can, and then then ask for the subscription once your users find a lot of value. So a lot of even those paid subscriptions, they tend to have some free components. So we try to encourage a freemium model where people get to try this thing, and if they like it, then they subscribe. We've seen some partners 6x 7x their revenue since they've been on our platform, and that's primarily driven by the fact that we give access to a large pool of users. I mean, we've got basically have 200 million
Yeah.
users. They're kind of our addressable market, and that's growing. And we give access. We're basically exposing a service from a company to a provider, to a set of population that has high intention to use that service. And because of that, people try, and then they get access to that whole funnel, right? There's a whole bunch of people that try, and then there's a whole bunch of people that find value, and then there's a whole bunch of people that actually pay for the subscription service because they find incredible value in that. So it's been a really good kind of customer acquisition funnel for some of our partners, especially the medium-sized ones.
And,
Um,
and, and you guys take care of all the back office processing of the payment processing and taxes and stuff like that through your platform too, or is that other integrations that you've built outside of your platform?
so if it's bring your own subscription, we actually, even if it's a freemium option, we let users use it on our platform, but it's really up to the app to enable the subscription, so they can take the user off the platform. We give
Okay.
very clear notification to the users, and then they go to the platform, they can manage the subscription there.
Okay.
But as part of this third program, which I was just going to get to, the premium app program
Yeah.
is where we effectively act as the conduit to.
Reseller, basically, in a way.
We're basically bundling some apps into our program, and in those cases we actually make payments. We track the usage of the app, or the app functionality on our platform, and based on that we make payments to the developers that are creating these experiences. So in some cases it might not be the full subscription that they may provide on their own. It might be a subset of the functionality that a company might have, and based on the usage of that capability that they are providing to our users, we make payments back to the developer. So in a sense, it's a reseller or kind of a licensing type model, kind of. And the reason we do that is because we've got this experience that we have from the content world that
Yeah.
we can
Okay.
apply to the app world as well.
And that is one you just recently launched, the third bucket.
That's right. Yes.
And so early days to see where it's going to expand or how it's going to go.
Yeah, so it's a new space for us. The early examples have been really successful. I mean, we've seen a lot of adoption of some of the apps that we've introduced, and based on that, what we're doing is we're starting to add more. So today, I think I forget the exact number. We have a handful of apps that are part of the premium app program, but we're being very selective about working with partners. I mean, we let developer partners apply to the program, and then based on the quality, based on what we've seen of the usage of those apps by our users, we can kind of customize the program for them. The reason we're doing these customized additions to the program is we want to absolutely make sure that these are high quality apps that are really meeting the needs of our users, and these are apps that make our users feel like they're getting a lot of value from Canva. So we really have a super high bar for quality. Over time, we'll obviously make that more and more of a sort of somewhat semi-automated process. I don't think it's going to be fully automated, but we want to make it more and more less kind of white glove, and that'll happen over the course of the next few months. But right now, we're being very selective and onboarding partners one at a time. So far, the program has been really successful. We've been seeing some really good adoption. Getting the feedback we're getting from our users is very positive. So all signs for us to really want to continue to do that in a much bigger way next year.
Yeah, super
I think
exciting.
this is great because like you've kind of given your partners the flexibility to either manage the subscription themselves, and then a subset of them would probably just say, "Can you manage the subscription?" And I'm assuming the people that were having a high success rate of getting subscriptions off your platform ultimately thought actually going for the premium app program is like it's just a natural thing for us to graduate our relationship to. And is that how you saw this come through, or were you guys like, hey, let's look at a whole set of other partners and be even more selective based on our criteria and go after them?
It's a good question. The answer is yes to everything you said,
Yeah,
because we started because we were seeing traction with certain apps, and we knew that some of these apps are also it comes with a cost, right? And especially when it comes to generative AI based apps, and we wanted to make sure that we create a model that's sustainable, right? We Our users are finding value, developers are finding value, we're able to generate value for ourselves as well. And the thing is, especially when you have cost associated with every use, I mean, and the thing with apps is like anytime you build an app, there's always some cost or the other,
yeah,
right?
totally.
Because the server costs and things like that, and we wanted to make sure that we create this mechanic where um, that that cost is shared, and if users are able to pay for some of those high value things, which is why we've moved certain apps into the premium
Yep.
and paid plans, because that allows us to make these these higher cost or higher value apps as part of the program, make it accessible to our users that really find value, and then it also helps us subsidize other apps that are available for our free users as well. So it becomes this mechanic to self-sustain this model where we can give as much for free to our users, as well as make our developers successful and make sure that as they get more usage, they're actually also making more money, and our users finding more value of the plan, and we are able to fund this on an ongoing basis without necessarily just making it a cost center, but it becomes a way for us to self-sustain this on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, no, it's great. You've kind of created the Canva economy, and then given your developers, or let's call them partners, like another way to participate in it. I think it's smart.
That's right, and I think that one of the challenges is a lot of organizations have this challenge where, like for example, when we launched our apps SDK, we announced a $50 million Canva Developers Innovation Fund. Now, the part of the Canva Development Innovation Fund is to enable innovation. We have a program where we make payouts to developers based on usage they see on our platform. We have we give grants to certain developers that meet certain criteria. We have the ability to kind of innovate and try these different things, but as with any fund, it's a finite piece of funding for a certain period of time. What we want to create is we want to create something that's sustainable for the next 10, 20 years or more. We'll see how the world evolves in 20 years, but like our intention is to plan for the long run in a sustainable way, where we're not relying on a fund to fund this, but rather we create, like
Yeah, enough
Ashwin mentioned,
value.
an
Yeah,
economy by this which
yeah,
sustains
totally.
this.
Totally. So you're a VC as well. How cool is that?
How do you think about the kind of, I know you said partnerships was partly under your purview. So at my last company, I was running marketing at an embedded iPaaS company, and we were selling into tech partnerships, product, and the developer org. It was like a multi-partner sale. And one thing, we were mostly selling into mid-market SaaS companies, but I think one thing that was apparent is you would often see friction between these departments where the people running the partnership saw great go-to-market opportunity. So they're like, we want to do end-to-end with these partners. We want to do co-marketing campaigns. We want to co-sell together. We want to do maybe things on the CS cross-sell, upsell side. Just curious how you think about kind of aligning those deeper go-to-market relationships with some of your partners, and kind of the platform vision and the platform consideration, and kind of how you align those, and figure out the dynamics behind it. Because I think it's just something where within, I say, most organizations, if not all organizations, at a minimum, there's just different concerns that need to be negotiated, and kind of to have a vision around how you keep those things aligned over time. Is that something you guys kind of have a viewpoint on?
So, sorry, it's the question about how we go to market with partners, other partners outside the.
Yeah, so like the partners in your ecosystem, we've been talking about like developing on your platform and then the different monetization models, but then you can take it to the next level, right? And run co-marketing campaigns. You can do field events. You can co-sell together. Just that broader go-to-market that partnerships, can encompass, versus a developer community, a developer platform, the extensibility is one component of it, and then that broader go to market should kind of spin off of it, but it's
No,
not
yeah, no,
it's complex.
it's a great question. By the way, everything I mentioned so far, we're completely open to feedback, and like if you're part of our developer ecosystem, we'd love to hear from you, or if you're interested in being in the ecosystem, we'd love to hear from you. Now, to Kelly's question, yes, this is absolutely right. I mean, we are keen on working with our partners and going to market together with our partners, especially partners that are already in the SaaS space. For example, we work very closely with Mailchimp as an example, right? Like they are a company that has been a longtime partner of us. They're adopting some of our new apps and integrations. We have a really good overlap in terms of user base. HubSpot is another great partner of ours, along with Salesforce and others. We do want to, we are actually embarking on new initiatives by which we can jointly go to market, talk about the value of the joint products that we have and how our products work together. An example is, the week before Asher had joined for our developer conference was Dreamforce, where we showcased at Dreamforce how Canva and Salesforce works together to create the solution where we automatically create pitch decks and generate content from Salesforce. And we had a lot of really good feedback. We've got a lot of customers that are starting to use that integration since we jointly started talking to our customers about this. Similarly, we've got some new interesting things coming from Mailchimp that we'll be talking about. We've got HubSpot. We're making it easier for Canva users to use Canva within HubSpot. Starting to talk about that more in the coming weeks. What you should see next year is we will be working a lot more closely with our partners that are integrating Canva into their platforms, and vice versa. And we'll be actively showcasing this capability to our own individual customer bases, as well as make sure that we really encourage our existing users as well as new users to use these products together. Sorry, I don't know if that was a fulfilling answer. I just felt like I was kind of saying the same thing you said.
Well, I guess what I extracted from them is like they've got these developers, which is, let's call it their PLG motion for their partner program, right? They got that thing stabilized and moved into a higher value program. And then what Kelly was saying, like, hey, how are you thinking about going to market, rightly so, with Salesforce, with Mailchimp, HubSpot, like all these other larger players, right? Um, and I guess to that note, I'm sure I'm going to get asked this question because almost every one of these conversations where we have a detailed conversation about the program, people ask, how is your team staffed, right? So how have you created your team to then, and you don't have to go into like a lot of details, but just maybe just the units, so people can think of like, okay, if I wanted to create something like Canva has, here are the components of my team that I need to get this program lifted. And that would probably help answer Kelly's question a little bit too.
Good. Okay, that helps. And by the way, just to kind of add on to that, the other previous comment, right? We are working with some of these larger companies that we just mentioned. We're also working with smaller niche companies as well that are like doing really well in certain segments. For example, ADM is a CRM for mortgage finance companies, and we've been working with them, and they have a fantastic integration with Canva where they're showcasing how Canva combined with ADM can be really beneficial for people in the mortgage finance space, for example. So we think about partnerships both in terms of like large SaaS partners that can really work together to make sure that our integrations work together and our users have access to our joint solutions. But we're also working with medium-sized, smaller companies as well, and helping make sure that those users that are those companies that are targeting specific users in specific segments like real estate, finance, etc., also have access to what we're providing, and we have joint go to market motions with them as well.
So your
Um,
marketing and sales teams that would be the ones who are kind of driving into, say, the mortgage and finance industry would say like, okay, we can leverage this partner to, expand our scope, increase our resources, just make a better JVP.
Yeah, that's right. So in some cases we have our own sales team. We have a large PLG motion within Canva. We also have our own sales team. In fact, we've recently hired a chief customer officer, Rob Gilio, who's built out a really fantastic team as well. And we work with our sales team in making sure that we work with our partners, and we have joint go to market activities with our sales team along with our partners. So that's a program that we're starting to flesh out a lot more, and you start to hear a lot more about that in the coming year. And then we're also building out this scaled model where, for those companies like ADM, for example, we have a model where we give them the support and the tooling, the material, as well as the commercial agreements, where we can work with them to help them go to market on our behalf. And we support them. So we're building out these different tiered models in which we can have the ability for us to help smaller players that are niche and they need the support and can benefit, and we find mutual value, and then we can work on the larger organizations. We can work directly with our sales team and their respective sales and marketing teams, and have joint go to market activities with them directly as well.
Yeah, Rob came from HubSpot, and he was at DocuSign before. So we followed Rob quite a bit.
Time to get Rob on the podcast.
Exactly, right? Rob, it's the same playbook working 3 times in a row. That's great. Okay, let's talk about team structure, because I think that's I'm generally curious, but I'm sure our listeners are going to be for sure curious about like how have you organized your units.
So the if you're asking, do we have enough headcount? The short answer is no.
No.
Now you can
That's
take
all
that.
we answer in partnerships world.
That much we know for sure. The ultimate do more with less team is the partnerships team.
Yes. So in the team that the ecosystem team within Canva is unique, and this is a reflection of the Canva's model as well. We tend to have organizations, we call them super groups, that are somewhat autonomous. We all work together, very well connected. It's a small leadership team, and we're all in sync. At the same time, we give a lot of autonomy to our super groups to kind of almost act like separate business units. So the ecosystem super group, as we call it, it's the funniest name, I think, but it's
cool,
Every time I think of a group with a cape, I don't know but anyway.
The Avengers of partnerships at Canva.
The goals are high.
We should call the Avengers. Yes, makes me the Incredible Hulk. I don't know.
Exactly. That may stick on after this podcast.
Yes. Yeah, I can see AI memes being built now. So the way we have ecosystem supergroup organized within Canva is it's a fully integrated unit where we have product design, engineering, building the platform itself. So we have the platform that enables the APIs, the platform that enables the SDKs, all built within, and the user experience by which users find, discover, and use apps are also part of the same team. So we have a product design engineering team that really builds that platform.
Okay.
And then we have there are multiple groups that each focus on different areas of what I just mentioned, because we have multiple APIs and SDKs. And they work very closely with the core product. It's kind of, in some cases we have joint teams as well, so that everything feels very seamless. We also have a go-to-market and developer success team that includes partnerships. And the partnerships team focuses on both smaller developers that are building apps, as well as partners that are more SaaS type partners that focus on some of the big names that I mentioned. We have a small partnerships team that focuses on that. We've got a developer relations team that focuses on advocacy and making
Yeah.
sure that we build a vibrant developer ecosystem. We've got a developer success team that does things like making sure that we provide technical support and making sure that our developers are successful, the apps are being reviewed on time.
Yeah.
Got app review team, got solutions engineering that works with both our strategic partners as well as customers that might be doing custom integrations with us. Um, and all that is really within the same organization. So there is no distinction between product and partnerships and all these other functions that I mentioned, because it's all the same team. Everyone's working together. You find engineers working directly with our devrel and partnerships team directly working with our designers. It all feels seamless that way. And the reason we've designed it that way is to make sure that um, as we think about these partnerships, as we think about the products that we're enabling for our ecosystem, as we think about things like monetization, all that is weaved in, and there's no distinction between I'm the product person, I will only think about this is my realm, and I'm the partnership person, I'm just thinking about the partner and like what that means. We have Instead of that, we have this cohesive team where the product teams are talking to partnerships, thinking about, hey, if I do this, what does it mean to our partner relationships, and like who's going to be impacted, how do we think about that? And we've got developer relations coming in saying, hey, this is what I'm hearing from developers, this is working, this is not, like we need to fix this, and then the engineers can go address that. So it feels much more like a startup
Yeah.
than like bunch of different orgs working with each other.
Great. And it makes sense that you call it the ecosystem team, so you're not stuck in this role given by this identity given by a title, right? You're actually saying like, okay, if you're here, but you also have to think of these two pieces because they tie back to our values. Makes total
Right.
sense. Now, at Canva, would you be, let's call it, the highest ranking partnerships leader, or is there another equivalent of you on the sales side as well?
So in the sales organization, we have this the PLG. We have we have a growth organization with PLG, and this direct sales. Um, we also have some partnerships folks in that are related to sales that work with a different variety of partners that we have. This is, I would say there are like a few different types of partnerships,
Okay.
and there are other folks that focus on different aspects of partnerships. We have like brand partnerships, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah,
We've done
totally.
some
You have content that comes from other places.
yes, system integrator type partnerships. So there are like a few other teams as well. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint and say there's this one
Yeah.
partnerships leader that only does that, because I think, I mean, the reason I kind of struggle and I cringed a little bit when you said that, like the senior
It's
most
okay.
partnership person, not because like I'm not a
This is only
hierarchy.
the first thing time, and we've made it to 47 minutes without me saying anything cringy. It's called
No,
good.
no, no, it was perfectly fine.
And the
It's
whole
just
part hasn't come out yet, so we're
Exactly. So
good.
no, like, and I don't mean it in a negative way.
it
It's
is
just
all
something. It's
good.
just like this whole notion of hierarchy and who is the
Yeah, yeah,
best
totally,
designer.
totally. Yeah,
Like that's the part. Like, and we try to avoid that as much as we can, and
yeah,
try to just like, which is also why you don't find too many people with fancy sounding titles at Canva.
yeah,
We
yeah.
just try to focus on like just doing the thing. Even the way we see partnerships here, right? Like the team within ecosystem are mostly focusing on ecosystem related partnerships, but when there is a need to do something in an adjacent type of a partnership, we just work with that team, just go reach out to them and say, hey folks, this
Yeah.
is. And in some cases, like some of these partners overlap, right? Some partners are also customers, they're also vendors, like, and this is very true in the tech industry. So it's part of the reason we have the split is to make sure that everyone focuses on the area, but they can also come together as needed.
Yeah, no, I love this setup. I mean, having gone through multiple venture-backed companies with these hierarchies, we run PL the same way. We have pods, and we have a little bit of specialization in role type, and then people can like we configure the pods depending on the projects that we're taking on or whatever other feature that we're building, and then people assemble very quickly because they kind of have their a little bit of their lane, and then they need to learn a little bit more, and then whoever the product manager for that whole thing is, they just guide people, and then we just build this thing fast.
I'm a huge fan of that pod model. I mean, I've spent many years in management consulting as well.
Oh, great.
where I'm used to like coalescing around a problem or a space or a client.
Yeah.
And I think that brings the best of people that are specialized in different areas. And as long as the right culture is put in place where everyone feels empowered and
Yeah.
working together, I think it's really powerful.
Yeah.
But Asher, I think you're gonna have to change it to super pods.
Great.
Then you'll really be running.
Tell us a little bit about your management. And I have a story. That's why I was just asking, like, which management consulting firm were you at, or which couple of them were you at?
I worked for a company called Diamond Management Technology Consultants. It was the longest name ever.
Okay.
And it got acquired by PwC, another long name, PricewaterhouseCoopers. I'm glad they named it PwC eventually. And yeah, worked between the two. I worked there for like I think 10 years, and then I briefly I was at IBM Watson when they were building up the IBM Watson business. So there I had a product slash go to market slash consulting role. So it's kind of a combined thing as well for a couple of years.
Asher has a theory that all the great partner leaders have management consultant in their background.
100%. Like,
so you gave him another data point to validate his theory.
I spent a lot of time. So I mean, I'll just explain this in quick minutes because we were running out of time. But like, a couple of years ago, this title called the Chief Partner Officer came up, and Microsoft and SAP created this, and right away got infatuated with it because I'm like, finally, because you've had this like archaic title called channel chief, and it doesn't even, it's like a celebratory thing. It doesn't have any real power, right? And then the partnerships people have all been talking about getting a seat at the table, but they never aspired to a role that actually is allocated and resourced and given the authority to make the changes to actually do that. And there is absolutely a need in the C-suite for somebody to think about prioritizing relationships all around the company, right? Because the other people are prioritizing markets and the other person is prioritizing revenue, and so we kind of did this research in this chief partner officer role, and every single one of those people that made it to that level either were in technology consulting or management consulting at some point in time. If you just came up straight through this thing called channel, zero chance to make it up there. I'm sure there's gonna be some outliers, but so far my research shows that if you were not at one of these amazing companies, you just did not qualify for the role.
No, I actually 100% agree with you on that because I think the skills you learn in management consulting, stakeholder management, making sure you focus on business value, strategy, like partnership, like just so much you learn in management consulting that applies to partnerships. Personally, I think some of the best partnerships professionals I work with have a management consulting background as well.
Super.
So Asher, your dreams of being a CPO are now dashed.
Well, this is why I became a founder, because I'm
your
like,
CRO background does not need to apply.
I'm qualified to go this way. I'll just go this way. No,
it's not, maybe not causation, there's correlation, but like, so I'm just
totally, there's definitely a correlation. No, the reason why I was asking about this because at the same Dreamforce event that you were at, I actually went to the BCG event and I met with Mickey McManus. And for those listening, like, you should totally research this guy's info. And Mickey basically spent like an hour or so with me, and he's one of their senior client advisors. It's the guy that they bring in when they have like Fortune 50 deals to talk to CEOs and stuff. But then Mickey was just like asking me like about like, hey, what am I building? And then he was like, you know what? Let's spend some time together, and I'll for coffee or so. And then a little bit later, I spent a couple of hours with me, and Mickey gave me this like master class on like designing the business versus building the business and why those two things are like separate. And then after that, my thinking completely changed. And like, before we even go do something, we just need to spend a lot of time just designing it, because so many more you can create such a better experience, and you can make sure that like things are properly like articulated and like people are guided. And then you have this like, you're going to go into build mode and you just build much faster, because a lot of the problems that come from build first and then design later just go away if you just take these principles. And you kind of walked me through this. So like the minute you said that, I was like, absolutely, I can totally see the value in like sitting back, designing this thing thoroughly and just putting it in the market and just seeing scale effects come from there. So kudos to you guys, but also for the people that are listening, you totally should go look at Mickey McManus's work. And then maybe we can get him on the podcast sometime to kind of give a masterclass about that.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. We are, as usual, out of time. I mean, if you talk to us, Anwar, you've been talking to us for like 6 hours because we have like, I don't know, an insatiable amount of curiosity around all these things. But I specifically wanted to do this to highlight the great work that you're doing. And if it's okay, we'll bring you back in like 6 or 8 months and see all the great things that you've done and learned. And by virtue of that, other people can build more amazing ecosystem programs. But outside of that, thank you so much for spending time with us and have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Asher and Kelly, for having me over. And for anyone who's interested, canva.com/developers to learn more about our ecosystem.
Super.
Thank you for listening to Unlearn. Subscribe wherever you listen and visit unlearnpodcast.com for the transcripts.